call to order the EDA meeting, rescheduled regular meeting, Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, 6 p.m. Montrose City Hall. Roll call, David Paradise.
Shannon Sweeney.
Kirby Moyner.
Jessica Barlow.
Steve Bonham.
Debbie
Give the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 19, 2024 and April 16, 2024 EDA minutes.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. On to treasurer's report.
President and EDA, the current balance for the Economic Development Authority Fund is $257,180.63. And the balance in the revolving loan fund is staying steady at the $257,754.78. Any questions about that?
Get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
No.
No.
We don't have any cost payables, so.
Okay. Moving on to old business. We'll go with the business subsidy policy draft.
Council called for the public hearing. Notice has been placed. The hearing is going to be on June 10th, I believe. As mentioned, I have a conflict with that evening, but ultimately I think you guys are familiar with the policy. And if you have any questions, I guess I'm happy to answer those.
Do you have any suggestions? Questions?
I think after a few months of talking about it, it's everything that we've discussed. I think it's ready to take it forward to the council. Anybody else have any thoughts? Good. Need an approval on this? No?
No actions required.
No.
None?
No.
Okay.
Well, we can do a recommendation for approval.
That's
You
what
already sent it to the council.
Yeah.
So,
Do you guys want a recommendation or just
I mean,
a formal recommendation or just general consensus type thing?
I thought that's what we did when we sent it there, but.
I just wasn't sure if we wanted to make a motion now that we have a quorum.
How would you like to proceed, Mr. President?
I think it'd be, wouldn't hurt to make a motion to recommend this to council as approved.
Okay, I will make a motion to make the recommendation of approving business subsidy policy.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. On to item B, the business subsidy request from SJB Masonry.
and summarize. All right, we received a request for 18 years of tax abatement assistance and a waiver of the connection charges. The project is estimated to generate $27,318 annually in additional city property tax above and beyond what the property contributes. The connection fees are $26,400 was the most recent estimate that I've seen anyway. The feedback that this group gave previously was that 18 years of assistance was longer than what you thought was appropriate for the project, but you're willing to discuss it further. And so we were going to meet again now to determine if what we wanted to do ultimately. So if a tax abatement is provided, it requires a public hearing with 11 days published notice. the council would have to act on that. It would be a resolution, and depending on the amount of assistance provided, it might require an agreement to be drafted with specific terms and conditions that are required under state statute if it's financial assistance or a business subsidy. Business subsidy threshold's at $150,000. Financial assistance is $25,000 or more. We have to report on either of those to the state of Minnesota, so and follow some provisions in statute. With that, any additional thoughts on the request, duration? My thoughts, I think I mentioned this last time, tend to be with regard to waiver fees, not necessarily inclined to waiving fees. I have worked with clients that have reimbursed for fees with tax statement assistance, but not waived.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel pretty strongly with what we're doing with the wastewater plant, in that project, or not wastewater, yeah, wastewater. I just think that setting a precedent here of waiting would really put the city on the burden for the future. And, that project is obviously not cheap by any means for not only us or Waverly, so I'm not in favor of that piece of this request. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, if we were still gonna have our own wastewater treatment plant, I think that'd be a different story, but, going into a new place, I mean, we're still looking at what the final numbers are gonna be for connections and everything like that, if it was just ours, it's just, writing it off as a loss, more or less, but, we have to pay the connection with the new wastewater treatment plant, group that we're hoping to join. That's just gonna be money that the taxpayers would have to pay no matter what. So, I'd rather not put that on the taxpayers to pay for, future businesses that wanna come into town, cause like you said, this will set the precedent that every business that comes in is gonna ask for this exact thing, waive my fees and.
Any thoughts to, further discussion on the terms from 18 years that you're asking for?
What do you guys feel like? I guess I'd ask, how many businesses are looking to come into town currently?
Currently, we got one other right now. Mm-hmm. That are looking to come in.
And I guess, what do you guys feel like is reasonable?
I mean, I guess the question I would have is this holding up anything on, finishing a build up here, or starting a build up here?
Currently, we haven't even closed on the land.
Okay.
So we're actually still in the process of getting the plat signed off on.
I overall, I feel 18 years is too much. I also feel that looking at our subsidy, I don't know, and anybody else can have their opinions too, but, if this isn't stopping a business from coming into town, from doing their project, I don't know if it's wise to just give, tax abatements away. If you can put the project together with your funding.
It's up in the air. So we're small and growing,
Mhm.
you know. Just curious what you faced 18 years being too long on. Just to help me understand.
I would indicate that, a city can only provide for up to 15 years unless they get another unit of government to decline, and then it could be extended to 20. So 18 is beyond the city's ability in and of itself, unless they start asking other folks if they're willing to participate, and then they say no. Commonly in business development, even in neighboring communities, we're using tax increment financing assistance, which has a maximum duration on a project similar to yours to 9 years. And so, typically that's being used to help pay for new public improvements, new utility extensions, new streets, things like that. And so, if those things aren't needed, it would be a bit of a unique request, just for, the tax write-down. We would want to understand costs that you're incurring that are unique or unusual, new infrastructure, extending utilities, things like that. And I'm not familiar enough with your project to know if you have those costs. But those are the things that were typically being considered.
My biggest factor would be the city would be losing roughly $400,000 to $500,000 in taxes over the next 15 years, based on your 15-year thing. And I get it. If I were bringing a business anywhere, whether it was Montrose, Waverly, Buffalo, Watertown, I'd be going in for what is the best deal that I could get? What, can I avoid these taxes? Because who wants to pay taxes? We could go on that route all day long, but we'll avoid that conversation for now. But so I get it. But I don't think that it's responsible to, the taxpayers. Just if, in the wherever you live, if you had heard that the city had a new business coming into town and they were looking at, $400,000 in taxes, that they're saying, we don't want that as part of our budget for the next 15 years. We're just going to keep that here. Well, all of the homes see their taxes increase every year, whether it's because of the city or the county or what have you. But as a resident, I would find that hard to say, that the business is going to give me such a benefit that I'm okay with my taxes going up and them not paying anything. So that's where I sit on the duration of it being 15 years, as you said, the max, because I don't think we'd get another entity to sign off on it.
Well, they would decline. If they decline, then Wright County would probably say no to anything.
Right. And I mean, the other one would be the school district, and I wouldn't imagine the school
They'd
district
say
would
no
want to
too,
give
which
it up.
would allow you, that would actually allow you to extend the duration of the city subsidy. But, from my perspective, the request is longer than what, we typically see even in this area. You work in Howard Lake and Cokato where they're actively using TIF, and they're recognizing that 9 years of assistance when there's public infrastructure involved makes sense, because the cost of that new infrastructure is, $80,000 an acre.
Just for people who maybe haven't done any of the, TIF and TAF stuff, could you explain maybe some of the difference between TIF or TAF financing?
TIF is,
I guess just a brief synopsis.
TIF is a collection of city, county, and school district tax that are reimbursed. Tax abatement, which we're talking about, is only the city portion. So with TIF, we actually collect a little bit more because we get the county tax and a little bit of school tax. But with tax abatement, it's exclusively the city tax, and there's lots of regulation associated with TIF regarding what we can subsidize. Manufacturing, warehousing, distribution. With tax abatement, we have much fewer restrictions because the city's acting on just its own tax.
You got any thoughts?
No, I think they kind of covered what I would say. Like, I'm having to go down a little bit and then taking from the, from the city, like the taxes, and that's a lot. And having, others pay for it, you know. But, you know, if it also depends on the business too, like if you're including a lot of jobs into the city too, that's something that we were talking about looking at, and prioritizing too, right? But it sounds like you're gonna have a lot of employment opportunities. Awesome.
You mean open right now?
Like from the open, yeah.
So, I don't know how much you're aware of our business. Currently, we probably have 4 to 6 positions opened up. We're looking for laborers, masons, concrete finishers, operators. The company as a whole, as it sits, is about 40 employees. Roughly 10 to maybe 12 would go to the shop every day. The rest are going to job sites around the cities. Some of our people, well, a lot of them live right around this area. And with plans to grow. But to sit here and say we'll hire 4 more this year, 4 more next year, 4 more the year after, I don't like to state that because economic circumstances can change that.
Yeah.
So in a little bit, I guess I would look at it different than what you said about the employees or the residents. Currently, that property is generating about $1,800 a year in taxes. So the city, if it stays as it is, the city ain't gaining any tax dollars.
Right, just maintaining what it currently is getting.
Yeah. So there would be, I do believe there'd be a lot of benefit to the city if we come into Montrose.
I do agree that there is a long-term benefit to it. I agree with you on that. And a big part of the long-term benefit is the potential for job growth as well as the tax base. Which, you know, we hate talking about money, but that's the big part that we have to look out for. At least from my perspective of being on the city council, is looking out for the people who live in town, that everybody is treated fairly. So, I mean, I get it. As I said, I think it was last month or whatever, when we were just having our conversation about it, that 3 to 5 years, I think that's something that could probably be negotiated or talked about, and I think that gets you in the door, gets you set up, definitely covers the connection fee that's estimated, as well as a couple years on top of what those connection fees would cost that you'd be, you know, saving in taxes. But I don't see a full 15 years getting passed by the council. That's just my one opinion on the council, but.
And how do you feel, David?
I mean, you know, Kirby had, you know, absolutely. I mean, we're a growing city. We're also a city that you have to understand that there's already a huge burden put on them by the county with taxes. And we're a city that has many projects that are not cheap right now. And, you know, again, I think that's why we said we would sit down and talk. We're not sitting against an absolute no, but yeah, I think 3 to 5 and covers up some of the, you know, connection fee and gives you a little bit of a head start. I think that's a little bit more reasonable for this city to be able to handle. You know, looking at it, it's, you know, yeah, you know, I know, yeah, if you don't move forward, yeah, we're not making any more taxes on that property as is, but you know, in this day and age, there's always somebody next if that's not the right project for you. And I'm not saying we're kicking you out of it, but, you know, I'm also not gonna be handcuffed to, this is what has to happen for this to come in. It's not right for the town.
Yeah, no, and I don't wanna make, I hope I don't come across like I'm.
No.
I just look, you know, that property's been sitting there since 2005. But if you simply pick the year, 15 years, in 2020, you'd be getting full tax benefit from that property. If you could have drove businesses in 2005, so you look at the overall, and when a business comes in, if they can enhance the city, there's benefits across the board as far as driving other businesses in and many other things. So there can be more incentives for early on and that sort of thing. So it's not one and the same if you're fifth in line versus if you're first in line, in my opinion. but as a whole, the more, I think it's fair to say that businesses pay a lot more in taxes and have a lot less demands on the city. If you take the simple fact of, yeah, people living in a house, they're taking showers, they're flushing toilets, they're paying a much smaller percentage than a business. So with all that taken into consideration, businesses bring a lot of value to a city.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, you know, if you look at it, is it 5 years of abatement and you can phase it out? You know, maybe you do 5 years of abatement, 2 years at 75%, 2 years at 50, 2 years at 25 type of deal, or is that something that would be reasonable?
I don't know, I think, I mean, for one, it's gotta pass the entire council, so
Mm-hmm.
if we could sell, if that idea can be sold to, you know, 5 people that represent the entire city, then there you go, but that was an interesting thought though, that you did bring up about smaller percentage wise on infrastructure. However, I'm sure there could be other things that there would be higher usage of, whether it be equipment on roads and so forth for maintenance, but I definitely think that is something to think about, the tax abatement and increasing and maybe playing with some of the years and percentages, but again, like I said, we have to get an entire council of 5 people to agree on that.
You two are on the council, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel like they would look at something like that? You know, when you take a look at it, the people that are coming in, just like the residents, they'll be buying gas here, they'll be buying pop, maybe food from Casey's, different, they're gonna be shopping here essentially. Now, is that a huge tax gain? I don't know how the gas tax works or anything like that for the city, or if that's all just state and federal. But they're gonna be, and who knows how many of the residents or people will be able to bring on and employ. Because I can tell you as a business, I don't need to talk numbers revenue wise, but from this year to in the end of 26, we intend to double our projected revenue this year. And we're, I guess I could say we're progressively looking to grow.
If you didn't take this property because abatement didn't go through, where would you be building it?
Well, I put too much time and energy into this that I haven't, I could say it, I'm not a developer, and it's been a nightmare of a process. But there are other places like Howard Lake where there is TIF, and I don't know if I would stay in Watertown. I don't know that they have the spot for me. I do like the Highway 12 corridor. I know Waverly has some room there, but I don't know that I want to go there either. So it'd probably be Howard Lake.
TIF is something that certainly could be talked about as well, but, I mean,
I thought,
I don't think
I
they
thought
would
this project
qualify.
was
Yeah.
qualified.
yeah,
We asked if it was manufacturing, warehousing, or distribution, and it didn't. The attorney for the city didn't think it met the criteria, so.
Although,
what are you typically seeing from other cities? Is there, what is when they do grant abatement, what is that typically looking like for cities of our size?
It varies greatly, but again, the maximum duration oftentimes is tied similarly to what TIP would be, which is 9 years. But again, most of those subsidies occur when there are public improvements to be constructed, and to help make it reduce the barrier to entry, the entry cost, by not having to build or pay for the entire cost of building a street, for example, or extending water and sewer. Are they granted as a request similar to this? Sure. And are there approaches where they phase out the abatement? Yes, I've seen those. So there's not a rule of thumb that I would tell you is what happens on average, because there really isn't an average.
and I know this ain't your guys' issue, but I will say what the county quoted for taxes is more than I'm paying a month for rent right now, let alone the building costs. So that's where it's a big fight. So
I don't know if it's something we're gonna solve tonight. We're on a little bit of a time crunch on some stuff, right? So I don't know if it's something we'll solve tonight, but is that something that more of a council discussion that can be had to finalize that? Or is that something that we need to send through EDA first?
Generally, we're looking for the EDA to make a recommendation for the council. Generally,
I mean, you know, I guess I've only heard the 5 years plus
You
6.
haven't made any.
No, that's what I'm saying. I've only heard a counter of 5 years plus 6 years of incremental decrease. You know, so is that what you're looking at? You know, so we're looking at 11 years in total.
yeah, and even the last 2 years at 25%, I mean, if you gotta keep it in 9, it would just be a help to get started, I can tell you that much.
Is there another, would you want to put in a different proposal then, before we approve anything?
Would you need to submit another proposal
Or,
no, I think what you're asking is, do you want to amend your request if you don't think this is going to get a recommendation?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at is, you know, looking at, you know, I think it's the 5 years, I'm good on the 5 years. If we want to look at incremental decrease off of that, I'm thinking in my own mind, 25% a year, and really giving you another, 4 years at that point until it's full. So let's call it 9 years in total.
So you're saying 0 for 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then
we can go 20 to 20.
75, 50, 25.
That would be it.
Yeah.
That would be 8 years.
8 years, yeah. That's kind of my thought process on that, is just bring that up, and if that's the sticking point, I mean, that's kind of where I see the compromise happening. And I think that's, we could push that through, the council. I think that's where we get an agreement on it. So, I mean, if you want to amend that, that's something we can vote on here tonight to see if we want to get that out to council.
Yeah, I guess that would be, I mean, that gives me 5 years to phase it in, so. If we can amend that,
These folks can recommend whatever they care to the council. I don't know that you have to submit a amended request. It's just a matter of understanding if you're gonna accept it, or
Yeah.
do we just need to quit today and we're done, so.
Have you time to look at numbers then?
no, I think that 5 years from now, I don't know where I'm gonna be at. Hopefully it's enough, I mean,
Yeah.
a new point,
Yeah.
but we all know how 5 years can go by.
Absolutely. So,
I do have a question about your trucks kind of coming in and out, you said? Is that getting onto Highway 12 going to be an issue and cause issues for drivers? I'm just thinking about cons for the residents.
I don't see it being any bigger of an issue than getting on, coming another way, or from 25, or.
There is a future plan for that intersection to have a roundabout.
Potentially, we really don't talk about it too much, but yeah.
He's fought those battles with the planning commission already.
Oh,
so.
okay.
I witnessed some of it, so.
They're pretty harsh, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess if you're good with that, I mean, I'll make a recommendation for council on a 5-year abatement with then a 3-year progressive 75, 50, 25 on, the increments there. Do I have a second? Any questions? Any discussion?
What I would do is, for the next council meeting, then prepare a resolution that would call for a public hearing based on that structure.
Mm-hmm.
And so that public hearing would require at least 11 days published.
Probably July meeting then.
I don't know what your timeline is, but at the end of the day, if we're looking to adopt a policy on the 10th of June that essentially says that but for the assistance provided as a subsidy, you wouldn't proceed. And so their attorney is gonna have an opinion that you can't pull a building permit until it's voted on at the July meeting. And so, well, you understand the timeline, so.
Okay. And it's too soon to get it on June.
It's too late to call for a public hearing for June.
You're not required to call for it if you get 11 days published notice, but you're not discussing it with the council in advance, and that's entirely up to you guys to decide how you handle that.
I think it's,
Probably too late for 11 days published notice.
It's on the 10th, you said?
maybe do it next week, we already published for the other public hearing.
Yeah.
It would give it just like 11 days notice.
Yeah. So it's up to you guys communicate to me on timing, how you want to proceed. I could have the notice drafted for publication next week if you chose to go that route. If it needed to be introduced to the council first and then the hearing held in July, then I'll just prepare a resolution for the council meeting on the 10th. So.
Is it business days?
It's days.
Calendar days.
Yeah, it's calendar.
It was published on the 30th, and there's 31 days, and
Yeah.
the meeting on the 10th.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
and then
are-
it has to be published in the paper by 10 a.m. on Tuesday.
I'll have it to you probably tomorrow.
Okay, that would be perfect, yeah, so like we can send that over.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm absolutely happy to have this on the June meeting, and we can make all those requirements.
Yep.
And we just require two council agenda, so I think that, they kind of know it might be coming.
Mhm.
Okay,
I know yours was for 8.
Yeah.
But I kind of mapped out something slightly different than that. It was with 4 years of abatement, 2 years at 75, 2 at 50, and then 1 more, which would be 9 at 25. That's kind of what I had mapped out in my head.
I mean,
It's an extra year of at least partial abatement.
yeah. I guess, to me, either of those
That was the
options
only
work.
thought that I thought.
Either of those options work. Again, this has to go to full approval with the council, but
we'll have to notice it for,
Yeah.
and it's a very specific
Yep,
notice.
but that's what I wanna ask Mr. Bond here, what his thoughts are on which option would you prefer, I guess, for us to go for council.
The one that you feel like council approved. Obviously, I'd love the extra year, but if it's an easier sell, to shorten it a year, I'm fine with that, but I would love to take it for, I mean, it would help to take it for another year too, so.
So the 4 years of full, and then 2, 2, and 1, you said?
I think that would be, I think we're just discussing in general, but, I think that might be easier to sell with the slower progression, that would be my thought, but.
Then I will, rescind my motion and let Kirby make a motion on it.
I just wanna add, I think as a business owner too, I think 5 years is kind of a nice, timeline, to really get up and going. You can make a motion for it, not necessarily requesting or suggesting either one, but for a business, I think 5 years is good. We want them to be successful, we want them to be successful, or have them be successful from the out. And then also I like your building too, so if he doesn't believe it at some point, I think it's a good sell on remodeling and putting other businesses into it too.
So your thoughts are that it's better to have the 5 and then the 3 years after that?
But definitely, so, that's why I think 5 is good. But also the south, so you guys know the city.
If you're okay with that, then, I mean, I'll make the recommendation for the abatement schedule to be 4 years of full abatement, 2 years at 75%, 2 years at 50, and 1 year at 25% abatement.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0 on that.
Just as a point of clarification, when we draft these, we base it on the estimate that we have today, because we have to communicate to the public how much we're gonna abate. And so we'll have a total and we'll have a duration, and the agreement will ultimately talk about the terms, but it will have a cap on it, just so you understand that now, based on our tax estimates today, so. You'll see that this stuff here.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Any other questions on this one, or comments?
Last thing, are we gonna authorize Ron to work, or whoever, who would do the subsidy agreement?
Yeah, it kind of needs right then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure they pass it on to Ron.
Whoever they have, yeah, usually it's Ron.
So we're gonna authorize them to have a draft agreement ready for this hearing same night as well. Okay.
Do we need a motion? I don't think we need a motion.
No, I just want everybody to understand what, everything that has to come together, so,
Will you let Ron know?
yeah.
Moving to, C, member recruitment discussion. I know, have we had any application come in yet? Okay. I guess the only thing I would have is, any other interest you've heard from anybody else yet? Outside of,
No, and we didn't invite Hot Talk to
Yep.
reschedule it.
for sure,
And this was right at their closing time too. So
yeah.
that's the only one that
Yeah.
there's been
I just wanted to make sure, so, no new business at all?
No, updates in case Jolene, they had a, handling tonight.
Okay. And then the next meeting will be Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, 12 p.m. at Montrose City Hall. And we are adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.